I was actually reading a study. Sorry, I
So,
didn't know
John,
if you wanted to introduce the show or if I should
Right.
just
Well, yeah,
keep
we
talking.
should like do something. Hey, everyone, Andy Hall, Tobin Templeman, John Hudson, 420. 420 is here to keep me in line. And I'm hearing an echo. And I don't know if it's from me or from because I'm hearing it, so it can't be from me, right? Is that how it works? I think that's how it works. But now the echoes.
How do you tell where it's coming from?
The person who doesn't hear it is the one who could be the originator of the echo.
I guess it's me. I'm not hearing it.
I'm making
I think
noise
it's
just to see
now.
what happens.
Now I'm not hearing it either. This is going to be the whole show, by the way. This is going to be the whole conversation. You hear that? You hear that? You hear that? I don't hear it. Are you hearing it now? All right. So, yeah. So what were we talking? We're talking about a study, right? You were talking about some kind of research study, Sam?
Yes. What were you talking about?
Sleep. Sleep.
Oh, yes. So, and they've actually found that our brain is actually wired to do that, and it's more healthy for us if you can. You have to train yourself to be able to get back to that 2 hour or two sleep a night thing. But once you're there, apparently you're much more refreshed, more cognitive. So your cognitive abilities increase. Apparently, I'll try and
I
find
need
the
that.
study.
I need my cognitive abilities to increase. I think anyone who watches the show would know that, yeah, Andy needs his cognitive abilities to increase a bit. So you know what I'd be afraid of? What's up, Jenna? And D. What I'm afraid of is if I get up in the middle of the night. Like there's been times that I've gotten up and I can't go back to sleep. Right. So it's like 3:00 in the morning and I just go, I guess this is just my life now. And I start just doing stuff. Right. And then those are the days that you see me on the morning show and it's like, wow, something's wrong with him. Wronger than usual. And that's when I'm up at like 2 or 3:00 in the morning. I can't get my miserable self back to sleep.
Yeah. And your whole day suffers.
Oh yeah. You're right about that. Yesterday I had crap sleep and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to pound coffee. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to pound coffee and keep myself coherent for as long as I can. And of course I start waking up at like 9:00 at night, right? That's when my body decides that, hey, you're not tired anymore.
That's what mine does. Exhausted all day. Could nap at any moment. But as soon as it's bedtime.
Yes. I actually was parked and I was waiting to do a thing. And then I wake up 10 minutes later. Rage.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Rage.
Whoa, no. What's up?
I'm just
waking up. You talking about sleep? Oh, how am I muted?
No, we can hear.
No. I can hear you now.
I'm like, y'all are talking about sleep. I had to jump in. I got my first night of like full sleep in 3 months last night. So like I feel a little groggy, but yeah, sleep is important.
What was your trick to get a full night, or did it just happen?
It just happened. I'm not sure. I think it finally kind of caught up with me. But since my daughter first went to the hospital this last time, I have had the worst insomnia. I actually used to do the two nights of thing sleep, and it did work for me, Sammy. But I think my body is so used to sleep doing that one time of thing, it just went back to it on its own. But it did feel really good when I was doing it because I had read that. I think probably the same study you read.
So how did you do it? Did you set an alarm or did you?
Yeah, I set an alarm, and I was working third shift, so I would get out. I would get out of work. I would sleep for about 4 hours. I would get up, have some coffee, go get my daughter, and then sleep for 4 hours before I went back to work.
Dude, I could say that if you're sleeping during the day. Yeah.
But it seemed it really worked. Like I was probably more awake than I'd ever been in my life.
Wow.
And I just fell into that cycle somehow of, like you were saying, Andy, you wake up at a bizarre time of night and you're awake. So I'd get up for a couple hours and then have a bowl or something to try and get back to sleep.
Yeah.
And I would find that I would wake up so rested and alert and feel much better than when I would sleep right through.
That was always kind of my strategy, was like if I did wake up, was to actually get up and go do something, because it's like if I lay there, that voice gets so loud and it just keeps me up. I'll just like lay there and think my thoughts. But if I get up and get active, I actually get myself tired again, and then boom, I'm like out again.
I'm wondering if there's just, because you might not know this about me, but I already have a lot of quirks in my daily, everyday activity. So I'm wondering if this one more quirk would actually send me over into some kind of clinical diagnosis. I know it won't. I know it won't. But I'm always wondering, will this be the thing?
Well, that one extra thing already exists, Andy. You just don't know about it yet. Most likely.
That's my biography, a collection of quirks. Ray, how you feeling, brother? How are you doing?
I'm pretty good outside of the insomnia thing. I'm working twice as many hours as I did before, so I'm kind of getting used to that. My kid has COVID right now, but she hasn't shown any symptoms. The only thing that's like really showing up from it is her blood sugars.
Yeah, dude,
going crazy again. So outside of that, it's like she's not even sick.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. So because our blood sugars are moving around, you have to take it more often. Is there?
Oh yeah, and like her blood has been crazy. I think it's she's going through puberty, and she's been in the hospital a couple times for high ketones and high blood sugars. One day the poor girl couldn't hold anything down. She'd drink a water and she'd throw it up, and so it's been crazy. And now with COVID, yesterday was the first day that we knew she had it, and last night it's just like, you're not eating anything. I'm giving you more insulin than I should, and she's still just going up and up and up and up. So it's like, I got to call the doctors and see what's going on with that. But that's what we do with diabetes. She should be getting on the pump, hopefully soon, and that'll help out a lot.
So that's an insulin pump that they put in you.
Yeah,
and
it helps. It's supposed to make it a lot easier to keep a diabetic in range with the pump, because it does it automatically.
Right, dude.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Like a little machine that actually pumps fluids, like a pump.
Yeah. It's a surgery, as far as I know. They put it in you. So
I was working with a guy who had head trauma, lived through a horrible car accident, was in a wheelchair, and he had a pump in him for painkillers, basically. And it worked well for him. I mean, I'm speaking as a guy who's fully mobile, looking at this poor person who is in a wheelchair. But he didn't seem to be in that much pain.
Yeah, well, I've heard of like, my doctors have already started to kind of talk about, something like that being in my future, to manage my pain. But I think that will be, once the disability actually comes. So probably a few years in the future.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So Sam, do you work with anyone? Because I know you work with people who have disabilities. Do you work with anyone who has a pump who has like an internal pump?
No, not a pump. No.
The first question that I don't know, like, where does it get the drug from if it's inside you? Like, I don't.
It's implanted inside, but there's a part that's outside. So I have to maintain the pump. I would have to clean it. I would have to refill the insulin cartridges and all of that. We haven't done the classes yet, so I'll learn a lot more once we start doing the classes, because you got to do like these classes. She's got to talk to like a psychologist before they actually put the pump in her.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing I got a mess back there. I hate that my OCD doesn't allow that. We're gonna do that.
Okay, dude. Whatever makes it easier for you.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's
but
fascinating. And
I'm
that's
OCD as hell, so my house is always clean, and if I have a little bit of a mess, nope, that's not acceptable.
I think it's really good that she has to see a psych beforehand, because
Yeah.
that's an aspect that I think might get overlooked.
Yeah, the middle part of it, definitely. And she's been struggling with the middle part of having diabetes lately. She's at
Yeah.
that age. She wants to be normal like the rest of like her friends. So
I think there's a point that you really start wrapping your mind around what this looks like.
yeah.
What does it look like, not just now, but in the long term? And
Yeah.
that can be freaking horrifying.
Yeah, and the first 2 years, it seemed like it was really easy to maintain, and now she's hitting puberty, and now it's getting a lot harder. She's landed in the hospital a few times, so I think it's like dawning on her, this isn't normal. I'm not. I'm gonna have a different life than the rest of my friends.
Yeah. It can still be a functional life for sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it is and I mean, that's the thing, right? You kind of and having worked with men and women who have brain injuries, there's a certain kind of mourning for that. There's kind of like a recognition, and then wrapping your mind and your heart around it. And it's a tough journey.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the best things I've noticed, because I can't say experienced, and again, like Andy said, this is from someone who's doesn't have these issues, looking from the outside. So, I could be talking out of my ass, but of course, she should keep her normal friends, but she should also add to that friends who have similar things.
Yeah.
She need that connection as
Yeah,
well, because
and they have good for diabetes, and I'm sure they have it for like a lot of things. Like if you have cancer, they probably have similar things. Any probably debilitating disease. But there are support groups, support networks where she can meet people her own age. And there's a summer camp every year that is really great for them to be able to get to meet other people that have the same thing. So yeah, she does have a couple friends that has it as well. So. I think that is important. It kind of gives some normalcy to her, that she's not the only one going through it.
Yeah. That summer camp, how is that expensive?
Oh yeah. It sucks.
Fuck America.
We've managed it, but yeah. Nothing in America is cheap. It doesn't seem.
No. It's a pound of flesh and a pint of blood kind of thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you are poor, they do have a lot of programs to help you. So I haven't taken them up. I might this year try to actually apply for one, because it does get super expensive, and I've struggled this year. I'm trying to catch up with a new job, so this year I might actually be trying to go through one of these programs. But there's a plethora of programs that will pay for the camp, get your kid there. So that is one of the good things about America. I'm pretty sure it's probably all across the world, is that I guess the way that our rich people feels good about being rich while everybody else struggles is that they help us poor folk. So.
Well, they do that in lieu of paying taxes.
Yeah.
That's the trade-off. We'll give you a little bit so we don't have to pay a whole lot in taxes.
Yeah, and it does help. And I can imagine, like, I've always considered myself poor, but I'm probably not really. But if you are like really poor, that it would help to have people that are going to be willing to pay for some of these things.
Well, you read about the different levels of poor. There are many levels, and yeah.
It sucks at like having to like ask for help. It would be really nice if I needed help, I could just go and get what it is that I want, desire or whatever I need. Like having to like ask people at times, it can put you in weird positions, because the other person might start expecting something out of you as well, like to get the help. And that can be weird.
Yeah,
Can be a whole nother.
And that raises the question of how the hell does Star Trek work
how's the
with no
economic
money?
system?
Yeah, like who's the janitors? Who the fuck are the janitors?
I would say that there'd probably be some kind of Roomba kind of, automated machine
Yeah,
doing
that's
that.
true.
I don't know. Well, you
Yeah.
do raise an interesting point, Sammy, is the fact that at some point, is it even is money going to be something that is not necessary if only a few of us work, right? Because there's going to be at some point, there's always going to have to be people like putting wire into houses, for an example. I don't see a robot being able to do that anytime soon. But there's going to be a lot of, and white collar jobs too, getting automated by AI. So yeah. I mean, it would be nice.
The studies that I saw on it, if we can ever actually pass infrastructure, like a legitimate $20 trillion plan like we need to do to actually fix the infrastructure in the country, we got about 20 or 30 years worth of real work, and then it's going to be AI and universal income. So I think at that point, then you really do have to start looking at the money system. I mean, money only has value because humans place value in it, and it's to me, it's a way to set some humans above other humans. So I think that probably not in our lifetime, but soon, maybe in our children's lifetime and their children's lifetime, money's going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah. So even now, I mean, from what I understand about farming, especially large scale farming, there's a lot of that's automated. Or there is a lot of it like you could I remember reading this article about programming a tractor to do tractor shit.
So, and it's not just one tractor, Andy. You can just look this up on YouTube. It's like a whole field of tractors.
Like a whole fleet.
They're all automated. There's not one. There's one dude with a controller.
And that's like the future of most industries that's out there, and it's kind of the problem with capitalism, because they're gonna go for the cheapest way to make their bottom dollar, and if that's automation, if that's robots over human, they're not going to care about you feeding your children. They only care about their bottom dollar.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. So, Rage, what have you been doing online, brother? What have you been?
Nothing, man. I did my whole quitting thing, and I realized I can't quit. I was like, my work isn't done. I've got to accept myself. Like how can I ever expect people to accept me if I can't accept myself? So that's what I'm working on now. I'm just going to be me, unfettered from here on out. It's probably going to be a worse version of myself moving forward.
I'm glad you came on because I wanted to say this. I watched your first stream, not live, but after the fact, and I had a giggle because I was like, every time you stop, I'm like, he's not going to stop.
And Bond was taking bets, and I guess the first time I streamed when I was back, he won his bet. He's like, I called it 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But I did. I enjoyed them when I wasn't doing online stuff. But then I started to get the itch again. I started like, I miss those conversations. I just need to be a better representative when I go into them. So a lot of times I'll be on medication or something, or like my weed is mixing with my medication, and I know, all right, I'm a little too fucked up to go into a room right now. I need to listen to that voice and not go into those rooms, and I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
You need an accountability buddy. That's what.
That's what I need.
Accountability buddy.
And I don't know about the rest of your audience, but my favorite videos of yours are like that first stream where you're just reviewing or critiquing a video.
Yeah,
because you crack me up, Rage.
Well, I appreciate it. And
What kind of horse shit is this?
Well, yeah, and especially when it's I'm not a scientist, so when I'm like looking at like YEC shit, it to me it's even, it should be even worse for them, because it's like it's so easy for me to see the horse shit, like
Yeah.
imagine if somebody is actually knowledgeable about this,
Yeah.
But yeah, I do appreciate that. I think that's what really grew wearing on me is, and it's my fault. Everybody was telling me to get away from Smokey, but when I just focus constantly on drama or the bullshit that people say about me, that's not good for your mentality. And so it drained me, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So that's what I got to try to stay away from. I'm not saying I'll never do it, but I got to try to stay away from doing that.
Yeah.
Also, like, oh, my bad.
Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead, Tob.
I like how you do reports too, like on different personalities. Like there was a Native American that you had done a report on, and there's a Satanist who like
Mhm.
went overboard. Like those
Yeah,
are good.
Pazuzu.
I like-
Yeah, Pazuzu.
Yeah, Pazuzu. Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's what I enjoy doing the most. So that's it's that kind of stuff that I'm going to try to get back to, and start enjoying YouTube again. I think I pushed a lot of people away. I think just because I'd grown so just aggravated, and I gotta not allow myself to be affected like that.
I will say this is that I do not, I don't get into, I don't have a lot of people telling me I'm full of shit. And it isn't because people aren't watching the videos, right? It isn't, it's because I just don't go. And once again, it becomes a personal preference, right? So what I'm trying to say, Rach, is that if you don't go teabagging Smokey Saint, you'll probably get a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's compulsive. And I know what compulsions are.
Well, yeah, and I really want to stay away from it because it seems like this last time it actually worked. So I left. They talked about me for a few days, but they haven't been talking about my kid.
Yeah.
So I think if I can just like ignore them, then they'll go away and pick on somebody else.
I agree, and I think that's just human psychology as well as how they respond to likes on videos, right? Or how many views they get. They will, they are always looking for someone they can target, and someone who will feed into their behavior.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what I was feeding into, that behavior, and it was driving me crazy. It was like literally, I was concerned about that, and that's not why I started doing YouTube. I started doing YouTube to fight a fight, not to fight Smokey Saint. And so it really started wearing on me, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated I would fight with myself to stream for hours before streaming, and it's like when you get to that point, it's just like you got to stop doing this. So that's what I'm focused on, is like, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do what I think is important, and I'm not going to let these trolls bait me or try to get their hooks into me by using my kid as a weapon. I'm not going to do that anymore. They're going to do what they do, and I'm just going to do what I do.
I think that's
and having said that, that's brilliant moving forwards, Rage. But I completely understand where you were at, because they made that shit personal. Personal. It wasn't just having a dig. Like, they were attacking you at your very core.
Yeah.
And like,
I agree.
You only have an option to react the way you did or not react at all. Is the only two options. You can't sort of.
Yep. I agree. I don't think I've been wrong for the way I reacted, but I don't think people are wrong either when they criticize me for it. So, I think the more responsible thing that would have been to listen to everybody. If I'd ignored it a year ago, then it wouldn't have been an issue for the last year. But you're exactly right. It's easy to say you'll ignore it. It's really hard to do, especially when they're using your kids against you. When they're using your kids as a weapon. That gets really, really hard. And what the hardest thing for me was kind of like the lack of support, and a lot of that was my fault. I pushed a lot of people away, but I thought, even in the face of that, seeing what Smokey and Will was doing would kind of make them like, all right, Rage can be a dick, and he was definitely a dick to me, but I got his back here. And that didn't really seem to happen with a lot of the content creators. That frustrated me, and that kind of caused me to start lashing out at them when they probably didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about all this shit for 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm determined. I'm going to do it. Try to do it better this time. We'll see. We'll see if it actually happens. I am who I am. You know.
Yeah.
And there really is only one solution with like the likes of Smokey. And it's hard, but the only solution, Rage, is cold turkey, man.
Yeah.
Cold turkey.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to really try to do.
Don't exist. Don't click on the channel. Don't like unfollow everything. Just
that's what I'm going to really try to do. You know, like I'm not making any promises that I'll stick to it, but yeah, like unsub from the channel. Try not to hear the noise that they make, especially now that I'm back. They're going to start making noise again. So you know, if I think if I can ignore it for 2 or 3 weeks, because it's probably going to get bad for 2 or 3 weeks. If I can ignore it, they'll go away. And once they go away, if I can just stick to it, they'll stay away and I can do my work. But I mean, you know, the thing that I've got to realize is that most people see these people for what they are. And even if they're not speaking out against them, they're not taking them seriously, which was always the thing that kind of like got to me, you know, was like, you know, so are people actually believing the things that Smokey's saying? Like, do they think that the mother of my child is a crack whore with no evidence, you know? And it's just like, no, I don't think most people do. I think even the people that follow them realize they're just internet trolls, you know? So that's what I got to keep in my head.
You know, dude, and the two things. One is a serious thing and one's a not so serious thing. I'll go with the serious thing first. One is that you're better than these guys. You're just better than these people. They're just trash can people. They're just trash people. And you know what I try to do, and as I have said many times, I just try to surround myself with good people who want the best for me and who are smart and who are skilled. And that's who I try to.
Yeah, well, and I talked about it a little bit in my stream last night because this is something that I've considered, you know, just my own faults. And there was this time when the channel was blowing up and all these YouTube content creators would just show up on the channel out of the blue, unexpected, you know, really popular people. And that shit went to my head. You know, like I started to think of myself as being something that I'm really not. And that's what I want to focus on is just being that raging atheist when he first started and he had something to say, as opposed to saying something back, you know, which is what I've been doing for a year.
Yeah. And you know, my second and not so serious comment is that, you know, Rage, maybe you should acknowledge a higher power and recognize the fact that, you know, you maybe lost control over this Smokey Saint thing, you know?
Oh yeah. What was it the other day? I said something the other day happened and I can't remember what it was. Well, something happened that made me believe in a God again. But it was like I was God.
Yes. Well, I too, and I think this might be mental illness on my part, is that I've been drifting towards this kind of weird solipsism, right? Matrixy kind of stuff. What was it? It was just a couple of, because I was going down the list, right, of things that I'm interested in. Nazis, Stalin, plagues. And then I'm thinking to myself, what the hell's been going on? Plagues, Nazis, Russian aggression in the Ukraine. And I'm going, okay, so if this all tracks, right, then, and if what happens out here mirrors my interests, then if the Loch Ness Monster is actually an alien, if this happens like in the next year or so, I'll know that this is all just a simulation of my deranged mind, basically. That's what I'm going with. Because I was really into aliens and the Loch Ness Monster for a long time.
Can I just say that I am so glad to have that insight into your mind, Andy?
Oh yeah. Well, you see what I've done. I realized two things. There's a small chance that I'm dead on right with this joke. And I'm going to means test it. And this is the way I'm means testing it. Loch Ness Monster is an alien. If this is the news story in 6 months to a year, I feel pretty confident. And what does this mean in everyday life? Absolutely nothing, except that I know the truth now.
Well, it would. I've seen like the Bigfoot conspiracists who claim that Bigfoot is an alien that can travel interdimensionally.
Sure.
If you apply that to like the Loch
Okay.
Ness, it would make sense how this thing could exist and yet not exist at the same time for so long.
I was kind of into Bigfoot for a while, but I was a real Loch Ness Monster fan, to tell you the truth. So yeah, Loch Ness Monster being an alien. If that happens, I'm right. And I'm going to be telling people I'm right too. And then they'll be like, you're psychotic, Andy Hall. But no, I have this video saying this right here. This is like documentary evidence.
Yep, and we're witnesses, right? We heard it.
Andy.
What's that?
So you go, Tobin.
Oh, I said what I was going to say.
That you're
I
witnesses.
just said, yeah, we were witnesses. We all heard this right here.
I'm sure you said there was two options. There was either the option that you're right and you're going to means test it and you went on with that. But what's the other option?
Well, I could be
that
wrong. I'm probably wrong on this whole matrix solipsism, kind of thing. I'm really hoping it's the latter, to tell you the truth, because I'm really hoping it's the latter, and odds are it is. But I want to hold out. I just want to say that it becomes awfully odd. Nazis, plague, Russian aggression. That they just happen to line up with my interests. So yeah, Loch Ness Monster being an alien.
Say it's either that or you finally cracked it.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know what it is, but something's going to be
is in your mind.
Yeah. So So that's it started off as a bit, as like a comedy bit, and then I'm saying, what if it's really true? And then it's like, wow, that could be pretty crazy. No matter how you slice that onion, that's like crazy talk, Andy Hall. So yeah. On that note,
it's not too crazy though.
It could be true. All right. On that note, I'm going to close out the show. Hey, I forgot to mention, I don't know. I was going to go to the doctor tomorrow to get some blood tests because there's a thing. There's probably not a thing, but there's a potential of a thing. So I have to go get a blood test. And I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow or Friday or Thursday. So not tomorrow. I'll kick the can down the road a little bit longer. So you'll see me tomorrow, everyone. Thanks, Tobin. Thanks, Rage. Always good to see from Rage. Always good to see all of you, actually. Thanks for showing up. Always good conversation. Gets my day going. I'll see you tomorrow. Shalom, freaking hamala, everyone. Bye.